Visiting family in rural West Virginia. House is run down, but in the lived-in way, not the crack house way. Uncle decides we should camp a short distance from the house. Still in the woods because this thing is surrounded by a sea of trees. We set up a small campsite, get a fire going on. Feels cozy, man. .jpg. It's night. Uncle, aunt, uncle's wife, and my dad decide to sleep outdoors near the campsite. I decide to stick around too. It's about 1 a.m. Can't remember 100%, but it was pretty dark out, and the only light was from the moon and my phone's flashlight. Really need to piss. Get out of my tent, wander a bit from the camp to find a nice bush, unzip my pants and get to watering the flowers. Notice some movement out of the corner of my eye. Shoot my head around, panic that a bear or something had just caught me with my dick out. Almost shit myself as I notice a figure duck behind a tree. This was all low light, but from the glance I got, it looked like the figure was wearing some kind of robe or gown. Zip up my pants immediately, dick burning because I haven't finished pissing. Turn on my phone's flashlight and grab my pocket knife, trying to be macho, plus my family were pretty close. Walk around tree, waving around my phone. Nothing. Honestly, even more creeped out. I should note that crickets out here are deafening, especially in the middle of the night. It was completely silent. All I could hear was leaves and sticks crunching with every step I made back to the campsite. As I'm walking back, I notice something when I step on a pretty thick branch and it snaps. I hear the exact sound about 20-ish feet behind me. Then again, same distance to my right. Ditto to my left. Flight or fight kicks in and I bolt like a deer that just heard a gunshot. Dad is already out of his tent. The campfire's up and he's clearly tense about something or other. He tells me to just go back to the house. Everyone else gets out of their tents too. Uncle stays behind. Not getting any sleep tonight. Skip ahead an hour or so. Dad comes back into the house with Uncle. Uncle is pale as a sheet. Dad seems really frustrated. I ask them what it was. According to my dad, they caught a few guys, middle-aged, walking through the woods. They bolted at the sight of my dad and Uncle. No idea what they were doing there, but a few of them dropped some things. My face went. It was a knife, duct tape, and some kind of syringe. Sister's husband works late. Husband's uncle is dying and is staying with them on the sofa since he has no one else. Uncle is going blind. Eyes are milky white and glazed over. His other senses are super acute. Uncle is dying, and from when I saw him last was super gaunt and terrifying looking. Uncle sleeps in living room on a sofa. They plan to throw out the sofa when he dies on it. My sister's bedroom is at the far end of the house, near the back door. Sister has a baby as well. One night, her husband is working. It's around 10, and he still isn't home. Uncle is worried about him, so she tries to comfort him by letting him hold her baby. Surprisingly, my nephew falls asleep in his arms and stays asleep. She sits on the sofa with him when suddenly the lights go off. Uncle doesn't know because he's blind. She's about to go to the other end of the house to the breaker to see what's up. Just then, the uncle stops her and says, "I thought husband's name wasn't home." She says he is not. He says he can hear him in the bedroom. She tries to listen, but she hears nothing. Uncle says, "I can smell someone." They are both huddled together in the dark. Uncle says, "He is closer now, in the kitchen." Uncle gets up and hands my nephew to my sister. He tells her to run out the front door, which is 5 feet to their left. She bolts and leaves the uncle in the house. She calls her husband from the other side of the street. The lights come back on in the house. She slowly creeps up to the home and sees no one inside. The uncle is sitting on the sofa, as calm as can be. She asks him who was it, or if it was a ghost. Uncle says, "I guess it was death." Uncle dies sometime later. My sister left her husband because she could not stay in the house anymore. She kept saying she heard Uncle moving around at night. My sister works at a nursing home and has had 4 patients have similar experiences, hearing a man coming for them, only for them to die soon after.
Be me. 5 years ago. 13-year-old Feminon. Live with dad in semi-nice apartments. Never really see much of the neighbors, besides the one next door, because his dog likes to play with mine at the dog park. Decide to get in better shape because of sports, and also because running is fun. Usually bring my dog with me, pit bull mix, every other night. Everything is good until one night I go out around 7:30 per usual with my dog, and bump into downstairs neighbor. Creepy-ass 50-plus-year-old man, obese and wears glasses. Classic sweaty pedo look. However, had seen him at church a few times before, so not really worried. Didn't know he was my neighbor though. He says hi and we do a little small talk until he asks me why I run. Staying fit, blah blah blah.
But you're so pretty. You don't need to worry about that.
Creepy, but more focused on starting my run since it was now 7:50 and I had homework. Run, go home, etc. Don't think about it for a couple of weeks until I bump into him again another night. Small talk again. This time he asks why I always bring my dog with me. Artard, so I answer, actually I don't bring her for the full run, only the first mile because she gets tired. End small talk and run. 2 days later I go out with dog to run. Run my first lap around apartments. Big apartment, so one lap was a half a mile. About mid through second lap, something catches my eye. Could have sworn I saw a greasy guy sitting in his truck near the dumpsters by the back of the apartments. Apartments were shaped like an oval. I lived in the top part of the oval, and the dumpsters were at the back. Weird. My stomach starts to hurt, and my skin gets goosebumps, so I decide to finish lap and do another one with my dog, just to be safe. Sure enough, when I loop back around, I very carefully look out of the corner of my eye and see him sitting in his truck with the lights off. Panic. Try to keep running like normal. Truck is getting closer. He drives up next to me and says he thought I only had my dog for the first mile. Literally about to shit myself. Say that she had more energy than usual today. He says he'd come say hi, but he's scared of her. Good, you creep.jpg. Say that's a shame and start running a little faster. He keeps up and asks if my dad is home. Lie and say yes. Dad usually worked late Wednesday and Friday, but I hoped Creep didn't know that. He says that's weird because he didn't see his car in its usual spot. Can't think of what to say, so I stay silent.
I know you're all alone, Anon.
Run as fast as I can to apartment. Luckily, dog senses my adrenaline and runs with me. Truck keeps up with me the whole time, but I'm almost home. Keep in mind, this is during the winter, so there was like no one out, and it was already dark despite it being 8 p.m. Make it to my building. Literally have never gone that fast up 2 flights of stairs before. Locked door, balcony, windows, etc. Neighbor starts pounding on my front door. Not entirely so I call the cops. I also hear that my neighbor stepped outside to see what was going on. 10 minutes later, the cops show up. I tell them what happened. Memory gets blurry here because I had a panic attack. All I remember is cops cuffing him and leading him out. I later see his apartment being cleared out. Years later, hear that upon investigation, police found his computer had some kitty prawn. No homemade, but still effing disgusting. Too long didn't read. Pedo neighbor ruins my workout plans. Be me, just out of the military. Bro, we'll call him Bill, works for State Forestry in Fire Lookout Tower. Pretty dope, basically a mini apartment. Even has internet. Invites me to stay with him a few days. Basically hang out and play board games /vidya. Awesome view. Shows me how to work the firefinder thing and call in a fire. I ask what weird shit he's seen. He's pretty solemn about this and doesn't seem okay talking. Anon, I'll tell you, man, but you can't freak out if you see this shit. At this point, I'll change perspective. He had more than one story. Story 1. Watching out across the forest one day. Pretty chill. Saw a structure. Not stairs. An actual structure of some sort. Couldn't tell. People were around it. Called it in. Gave coordinates. Game warden says he will investigate in the morning. Too late in day. They're discussing this via radio. Radio chatter interrupted. Unfamiliar. Disregard all. This conversation is over. Comms cut off on radio. Just uses phone. Call disconnected. Cell has no signal now, despite having perfect signal before. The structure is still there. Gets a phone call. It's his supervisor. Bill, leave this one be. Don't talk about it. Don't log it. Drop it. Confused, asking what the deal is. Bill, you're not in trouble. Just forget seeing it. You'll be fine. Bill complies, removes log entries. Phone rings again. Same voice as guy on radio that broke comms. Listen to boss name. He's taking care of you. Bill says he understands. Doesn't want trouble. I will not have to call you again, voice says. Night falls. Bill sleep. Next morning, Bill looks where the structure was. It's not there. The clearing it was in is gone. Nothing but trees, as if this never happened. Fast forward a few years. This structure pops up sometimes in different places. Out of nowhere. Just there. It's different, but can't tell what it is. Can't determine purpose, or even clear shape. Story 2. Bill finished the day's watch. Mild thunderstorm, but tower is safe. Chilled out, getting some video games. Power goes out suddenly. Bill looks to see if lightning strike. Sees nothing. Waits it out. Hears clung, clung, clung from steps, as if someone is climbing. No houses for miles. No vehicles seen approaching from the road. Bill grabs flashlight and rifle. Clung, clung, clung. Stops.
Hey, it's bad weather. Let me in.
Voice says underneath the building. Bill says, this is state property. You cannot be here, sir. Leave or I'll call the sheriff. Bill can't see anyone through windows. It's pouring rain, thunder and lightning. Voice keeps calling.
Let me in, it's bad weather.
The voice is not panicked. States it as if it were just a simple calm request. Can't see anything. Goes out with rifle. Still repeating the same thing.
Let me in, it's bad weather.
Down the steps. Bill, I have a gun. Sheriff is coming. Leave. Same phrase. Further down the steps. Bill can't see the source. Bill goes in. Locks up. Calls sheriff. No more voice. Sheriff shows up. Looks around. Weather calming down a lot, so both go down. Something stinks. Bill and sheriff look in Bill's truck. Deer, bobcat, coyote? More than one. Maybe 3 dead. Rotting animals just laying back there and a lot of mud. Sheriff says it might be someone pulling sick joke. Drives around. Bill goes back up. Sheriff goes to Bill's truck and then calls up, why did you move it? Needed pictures, Bill. Bill is confused. The animals had been removed from his truck. Bill calls supervisor. Supervisor shows up and puts hunting rifle and shotgun under sofa compartment. This stays here if it's needed. Supervisor wouldn't speculate, but had 0 doubts at all. Be friend. Be X and K. Be going on in a woods trip. Be on his grandfather's land. 500 plus acres of land. Heavily wooded. Grab SKS, grab AK. Headed in the woods. Arrive and trek up to their location for camping. Arrive and set up camp. Mucking about. Stalker LARPing. While cooking, he said they noticed a slight stink. Shook it off, but it kept progressing. Smell eventually gets unbearable. Friend has idea. Puts on M40 gas mask. Doesn't help and eventually almost vomits in mask. Said the smell was moving in a circle. Eventually, it dissipated, and they tried to sleep, gripping their chink and Vatnik GFs. Here, noises and the smell arrives again, alongside heavy movement. They get up and have guns at low ready. They see a large, dark figure moving quite fast around them in the woods. It gets close, and they realize it's a large black wolf/dog. Gets really close, and friend shoots at it. The dog moves fast away, and it gets lit up with the muzzle flash. Much larger than they expected, and they are freaked. The dog ran around them in a circle. All the while, they were trying to put a round on target. Eventually, the dog stops, and they ran out of ammo. They said by this point they lost the dog. Gets reloaded and look around. Friend turned on his headlamp and starts searching. After searching, they saw the figure, and it stood up on its 2 legs from all fours. It lurched towards them and revealed itself into the light. The creature was a stereotypical dogman werewolf proportionally, but the head was what he really described in detail. He said the head was of a dog and looked like Pick-related, hairless and in some places fleshless, like it was infected with some skin disease. It was panting and staring at them, and it started lurching and wobbling towards them. He said that it shook side to side while it walked, very unnervingly, more than a creepy zombie dog. They ran, and they were shooting behind themselves as they ran. Friend's friend turned and dumped into the general area of the creature. Solid few thumps. The creature stopped and lowered itself and howled, said it sounded identical to the one in American Werewolf in London. They ran back to the grandpa's place, ran inside and startled the grandfather. He asked my friend WTF was up. He told him that they were shooting at raccoons and possums. Grandfather looked at him like he knew.
Interviewing for a job cross-country. They don't pay for the hotel. Find cheapest Airbnb I can find. Get there. Key hidden under a rock. Kinda sketchy. Welp, in too deep. Get in. Barely any furniture. Holes in walls recently patched. Fresh paint in random locations. Doesn't look much like the photos online. There's also a door which I think leads to the basement that has literally 5 padlocks on it. Want to nope the fuck out, but poor college grad looking for a job. Feel like I'm being watched. Try to ignore it and go to sleep. Wake up needing to piss. Instead of turning the lights on, I just used my cell flashlight. Go to bathroom. Light briefly shines over the vent in the bathroom. Something reflects back the light. Huh? Grab a chair to get a closer look. It's a f***ing camera. F*** this shit. Call 911 and barricade myself in the room, waiting for them to arrive. Cops show up. Point out the camera. They investigate. Yup, it's a camera. They start checking around. Move a rug that's kinda in a weird place. Dark stains they think might be blood. Okay, Anon. This is a crime scene investigation now. We need you to leave. Fuck. Give the cops my contact info. Get an Uber and go to a Denny's that's open 24/7. Spend the night there, not sleeping at all until my interview. Didn't get the job because I look like a zombie, didn't shower, and have my luggage with me even though I explained what happened. Later, the cops contact me on the case. No leads. The info they use to set up the Airbnb account is all bogus. The LLC they used to hotel title for the house is also bogus. Asked what was behind the padlocked door. We can't divulge that information, Anon, but be glad you called us when you did.
Used to live in a busy apartment complex in Sao Paulo. It's not like American apartments. It's literally 40 stories, with each floor having about 25 apartments. Mostly college-aged people or young adults with family. I go to work after school on Fridays, so I come home really late, around 0100 every Friday. I live on the 11th floor, so I ring the elevator. The elevator comes eventually, makes its way down, and the door opens. I walk in. The elevator traffic is usually busy at night anyway, so I didn't mind the man who was in the elevator dressed to conceal himself. He had donned a ski mask and had black gloves. It's just him and I. As we are going up, I notice he has a knife in his hand that is dripping with what looks like blood. There is a small puddle by his side. I ignore this out of fear and quickly exit the elevator once my floor was reached, and quickly go into my place and lock the door. The news reveals a murder occurred that day. I didn't directly go to the police as investigations are inconvenient in Brazil, and I can't miss work days. A police officer comes and knocks on my door the following Tuesday and asks if I've seen anything to help the investigation. I tell him no, I didn't see anything. He thanks me for my time and takes off. A week later, they televise the suspect has been caught. It's the police officer. At my aunt and uncle's in rural Wisconsin, late at night, I can't sleep. Go outside and have a smoke. It's October, so pretty chilly, but no snow. Super quiet, newish moon, so also very dark. They live on a lot of land that is relatively uncleared. Except for the house and some outbuildings, it's all trees and trails with a big boggy patch in the middle. Still not sleepy, so I start wandering their plot, take a trail into the trees. Come out to a little outcropping with the bog before me. Still very quiet. Wasn't exactly spooked, but I got that sudden feel of eyes on me. Look around, but nothing but moon, shadows, and reeds. Something laughs at me. Couldn't tell if it was in my head or actual sounds, but it was very loud, unfriendly laughter, like a joke at my expense. Brush animals burst into a frenzy all around. Dozens of birds winged the F out of there, squawking, and what sounded like a deer maybe crashed through the brush. Stood there like a frozen idiot, while the nature around me noped the F out. I soon followed suit. Didn't sleep a wink that night. Uncle gets up with the dawn and finds me nursing a coffee in the kitchen. Tell him what happened earlier. Try to laugh about it, but he seems unpleasantly surprised and resigned. Stares at me for a moment. Takes a deep breath. Tells me to follow him. Uncle leads me to the cellar, and we go down the steps. Haven't been down there in years and years. There's a door on the far wall I didn't remember ever seeing. Ask him where the F that goes after he opens it to stark blackness. He gives me a look as he snags a lantern from a shelf by the door. Says, "Old root cellar my grandpap dug. Follow me." Walk into a small square room. It has a rough tunnel in the back corner. Looks kinda like a mine shaft, but rather short. Wood trusses every few feet. You know what I mean. Tunnel isn't very long. We walk for maybe a full minute. Come to the end of the tunnel. A rough door. It's just a slab of old wood held in place by some cinder block along the bottom. We move it out of the way and step through into the gray dawn. I look around, blinking the dark from my eyes and adjusting to the light. Realize we're just a handful of yards downwind from where I had stood last night overlooking the bog. Look at my uncle to see him studying me expectantly. "This is about where you were last night, yeah?" All I can do is nod. I hadn't told him where I had heard the laughter. He starts telling me about how his family first settled on this land from Norway. Strange sounds and things had always plagued the boggy area. His grandfather had done most of the building and clearing of the land, and had inexplicably died shortly after digging out the root cellar. He had apparently been obsessed with this root cellar, and had never allowed anyone but himself inside, not even just to grab a jar of pickles. After his grandpa died, my uncle and his brother finally went down to investigate the root cellar. That's when they found the tunnel. At this point, he motions me to go back through the door, and we walk about halfway back up the tunnel. Here at a slight bend, he stops, and looking at me, he moves the light close to the wall. There is a hole here I hadn't noticed on our way through the first time. My uncle, visibly pale now, and a slight shake to his hand, asks if I want to take a look. Something in his voice tells me I effing shouldn't, but I can't resist. I peer over the rim of this hole, absolutely pitch black, and the light seems to be swallowed by it in an off way, like it's barely penetrating in. Oh balls, as I hear that same laughter again, but so much louder. Nearly break my neck spinning around to look at my uncle. His eyes are wide. He heard it too. Seems frozen in place. Against my very instincts, I look again. Eyes, or something, dimly reflecting the lantern light back at us. Dozens of them. I stare in petrified fascination as a wet, fetid air seems to leak from the hole. More growling laughter comes with this stench. Something finally breaks within us, and we absolutely book it back up to the tunnel and into the cellar. "What the F was that?" I yelled at him, as we catch our breath by the now firmly slammed root cellar door. Uncle shakes his head. He has no idea. Said he hadn't been in the cellar himself since that day he and his brother had first investigated and discovered that. Over the years, he had tried to convince himself it had just been a youthful fancy. When I told him earlier about the laughter, it brought that crumbling down. He laughed shakily and says ignorance is bliss, but he felt he had to take me down there. I agree as I stare at the thick door of the root cellar. He tells me how, though autopsy had ruled his grandpap's death as natural causes, his grandmother had a different story to tell. According to her, his grandfather had been found belly up in the bog, with his eyes scooped out, and no other visible injuries. Apparently, the rest of the family at the time had reacted very poorly to this, but the grandmother had been the one to discover his corpse. At this moment, I recalled my uncle's brother had committed suicide, but I didn't know anything more than that. I hesitantly asked him about this. He looked at me a long while. Yes, he said. He was found dead of a gunshot wound in his chest, and no eyes. After this, my uncle actually started to cry. So we just got blind drunk that day after he called off work, and we have never spoken about that morning again. I gathered from some further drunken ramblings before I passed out that he's terrified he'll be found dead one day, with his eyes gouged out. He's still alive, and they live there still. I don't know what I'll do if he's found dead like that. Two buddies and I decided to drive from northern/central Florida down to Key West for the weekend. Shit's nice. Longest drive, but it's okay. Spend weekend in Key West doing shit like fishing and chilling at the beach. Weekend ends. On drive back up. We're taking turns driving. Friend 1 is tired as shit, but took the first shift anyways. I take over driving when it gets dark. Friend 1 hops in back to catch some sleep, while friend 2 stays in passenger seat. Driving for a few hours at night, and decide to pull over for some gas and food at a poorly lit gas station. Ask sleepy friend 1 if he wants anything. No response. Pass the F out.jpg. Alright, cool. Guard the car, sport. Get snacks. F yes, peach rings and an Arnold Palmer. Notice some dick put nails under my tires, so that when I drove off it'd go into my tires. The F? The cashier didn't see. Neither did we. Place is lit like shit anyways. Remove it, bail. Head off back on the road. 5 minutes or so later, remember friend 1 is in back when he catches my eye in the rear view. Look back in rear view and see friend 1 put on his hoodie he had in the back with him. Closed up the hood part and moved over to the right side. So much for being asleep, moving around and the f*** do you think this is? Ask if he saw anyone with the car. He doesn't talk. He just nods no. Make snide comment about Sleeping Beauty. Should have came with us inside and got some deodorant. He smells like got him. We all smelled. We didn't shower that day after fishing. Driving down sketches road with woods on both sides a few minutes. Really dark now. See someone standing in the road. Move Betamax. Friend 1 leans forward a little. Awake now? Swerve out of the way of them. They don't move. Suddenly, I can see people in the effing trees and foliage on both sides, like a frickin' ambush. Oh fuck, the hills have eyes. Effing gun it. Thank God I spotted the nails under the tires. Couldn't make out any of their faces, just their shapes. Too dark for my headlights. Hour or so goes by. Friend 2 and I are both freaking the F out, with only a few words spoken between each other. Friend 1 back asleep, not talking. We see another car drive by not long later, their lights on. As they pass, I look in my side mirror. Passing car shines through my side windows as it goes. In the side mirror, I see friend 1's face asleep up against the window on my left side directly behind me. Weren't you? Look in rear view. See he's still in the hoodie in the right seat. Nope. Slam on brakes. Start screaming. Friend 2. WTF, what? Then he looks back and makes the realization there's 2 people now in the back seat. Real friend 1 is actually finally awake now, dazed and confused. Hooded figure slams open the car door and sprints off into the woods. Hit the gas. All 3 of us screaming incoherently at each other. What the f? Friend 1 says he woke up when we were at the gas station, right after friend 2 got in the back with me and put on my hoodie next to me while you were still in the gas station. Someone had been in our car for the past 1 to 2 hours that we didn't know. I never saw Bro's hoodie ever again. We talk about how he almost got trapped and eaten by cannibals in Central Florida all the time. Try to make it into a joke. The humor helps, but that wasn't funny. Be me. Just graduated boot camp and checked into infantry school. First night in the holding barracks. I have 1 to 3 a.m. watch. Spooky.jpg. Other Marine has the front hatch. I have the back hatch. Just sitting on a chair with a small desk. Hear footsteps on the gravel every now and then. Look outside and see nobody. This happens a few times. Halfway into my shift, hear a voice outside. Hey, Firewatch, you got any smokes? Negative. No smokes here, I choke out. Silence. Air feels extremely cold. A few feet back from the doorway, see Marine in ERDL camo, face obscured. I'm armed with nothing but a red lens flashlight. Shine light in doorway to get a better look. Figure is gone. Sense a lingering presence, a ghostly energy in the room. Extremely unsettled at this point. See movement from corner of my eye. Pan my flashlight towards it. A shadowy silhouette stands a few feet away from the first pair of racks and footlockers. Freezing wind rustles through the room, though the windows are closed. Heart pounding, I fix my gaze on the figure. ERDL camo faded, tattered. Still no clear facial features. My voice trembles. Who are you? The figure remains motionless, silent. Identify yourself, motherfucker. As I finish my sentence, the figure retreats, dissolving into the darkness. Wife and I live out of my truck. Life is sweet. In West Virginia, quiet zone camping. Beautiful as gorgeous mountain views, rainbows, the works. Late summer, pretty hot that night. Decide we don't want to cook and want to check out a town nearby for burgers and beer. Head out around 9:30 p.m. Pitch blackout, apart from what my headlights light up. Winding country roads. Have a CB radio and a camera mounted on my dashboard. Reach a long stretch of road that has abandoned houses on the left side. CB flicks on and makes weird, super mechanical sound. Dashcam flicks off. Radio screen cuts off. What.jpg? Wife gasps and points in front of us. See huge black shape, roughly humanoid looking. Maybe 6.5, 7 feet tall on the left side of the double yellow road. Completely black, not see-through, vaguely cloudy, turns toward us as I slam on the brakes. Hear all our shit fly everywhere in the back. Shadow fag drops down real low to the pavement. Crawls/slinks off the road, kinda like how General Grievous walks on all appendages. Disappears out of line of sight behind a bush. CB stops screeching. Everything is silent. Hear a deep growl from near where a shadow thing crawled away to. Floor it. Get another mile or so down the road before the dash cam and truck radio screen turns back on. Wife and I sleep in town that night. Next day, check dash cam. Camera records in 3-minute chunks. Memory card full of clips. Just the last 3 minutes of our ride is captured and repeated 50 times. No other clips saved. Dash cam hasn't worked right since. Be me, 2 years ago. GF is staying with me for the summer. House sitting my dad's place while he is in the Astan doing contract work. One of my friends calls me up one night. Hey Anon, let's do something. I'm bored. He comes over and wants to explore something abandoned. Tell him about this old farm nearby that was partially burnt down. F yeah, let's do that. Load up a bag of urban spelunking gear. My SIG 556 patrol, a few flashlights, and 3 spare mags for the SIG. Head out and get there around 2 a.m. Park by this turnaround by a river. Someone else is parked there too. Looks like teenagers figuring out how to sex. Load up and head into the forest. I have my SIG folded underneath a jacket, just in case coyotes show up. Common problem in the area. Get to the farm. There are 2 burnt down buildings up front, some silos next to the remains, and a large stilted ranch house mostly intact in the back that looks like the pick, but torn apart and in disrepair. Head over to the ranch house. The stairs have been destroyed. No way to get up to the house. Find what looks like a bookshelf that was shoved out of the house. Use it to climb up. Dressers and more bookshelves are blocking the entrance. Think nothing of it and move them aside. Coffee tables are blocking what is left of the windows. Glass everywhere near the windows. Looks like they were bashed in. Assume kids destroyed it. Find ripped clothing and evidence of a large fire. Find an old off-roading magazine dated 1986. A lot of the house had suffered from fire damage, but is structurally sound. Find more torn clothing, but in kid sizes along with ripped apart shoes. Mildly creeped out, as some of the other clothes piles were intact. Only a few sets with shoes were shredded or torn apart. All of a sudden, my friend tells me and my GF to hit the deck. See a green light scan the window we came in from via the bookshelf. Can hear 2 men approaching the house, not saying a word. My friend, my GF, and I are on the floor wondering who the F these people are. My friend is freaking out about the green lights. Who the F uses green lights? Off in the distance in the opposite direction of the weird green light duo, I heard branches snapping and it's getting closer. There's a weird clicking noise too, accompanied by it. Almost like those weird cockroach things from Mimic. It's getting louder and louder, and the men are inspecting the ground level below us. See the light shine through the holes in the floor, where the fire did most of its damage. My GF is crying but not trying to make a sound. The clicking is getting louder. My GF quietly asks if I can hear the clicking. I do, honey, it'll be okay. I unfold the SIG and prepare for a closer encounter of the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot kind. She's gripping my arm tight. Can't properly get the SIG out from under the jacket. Hear a loud crash on the far side of the building. Something is on the roof. The clicking sounds like it's right in front of us. My friend is watching the men with the green lights walk away towards the silos. Another thud, and it sounds like this thing is in the room next to us. The clicking, it won't stop. The floorboards in the next room creak as it makes its way to the room we are in. Still laying on the floor, I awkwardly position the SIG with its flashlight towards the doorway to the other room. Something is under the door arch. Can't make it out. The clicking stopped. This thing is staring at me. One of the men with the green light steps on a sharp stick and yelps. The clicking starts up again and the thing clunks its way towards the men. My group silently waits until the coast is clear. My friend gives me the all clear. Make a beeline to my Jeep. We are not out of the woods yet. JPEG. Some SUV is patrolling where we parked. Wait for them to do a pass while they shine a spotlight along the edge of the forest. Pucker factor 12. Finally get to the Jeep and get home. About 2 months later, the whole area was fenced off by some weird construction company. There's armed security there and everything. It appears to be a huge construction yard across from where I parked, but the ranch is still there, so I have no idea why they fenced that part off. Be me alone, camping in woods. Been there a few weeks. Sun is going down. I have approximately 1.5 hours or so. Not quite 2 to 3, but over an hour. See 3 guys crouching around the woods, 250 meters across the river. I naturally crouch and watch, reach for binoculars and sit very still. They seem to be hunting deer. No firearms visible, but one does have a buck knife. I'm spooked at this point. Mind racing. I think about what I should do. Run? Contact? Stay still? I am miles into the wild at this point. Plus, my belongings are all set up in a concealed/camo camp, and I can't just leave it all here to head blindly into the woods this late. I decide to stay on my spot and watch. They have come to the river now. Slightly closer, but there's no way they could see my camp, as it was uphill in a strange spot, hidden between brush and trees. The land is shaped in such a way
that you'd have to be right on me to see me. It's getting dark now. They still are not using a light and are moving slow / looking around a lot. They split into 3 and I lose sight of one, but he walked away from me whilst the other 2 crossed the river and split. One is going the opposite direction. One is heading towards me. One is heading downriver. I slowly move behind some brush and back off another 100 meters or so. Lie down and continue watching. I found you, bitch. These are our woods. The one that was heading closer has found my camp. This is when I confirm that they are looking for me. I don't know why or how. I have done nothing to warrant this. Didn't even know the land was owned. It was so remote. No dead animals, no trash, no wildfires, etc. I can hear my things being thrown around now, and a pretty loud conversation as they all have regrouped in my camp. Can't understand them, but they seem to be angry. Occasional screaming and such into the woods around them, saying things like, "We know you're here, boy. You're done." Another that sticks in my mind is, "I'm gonna have fun skinning you." I lay still in the woods for another 20 to 30 minutes, and thank God I did. Not sure how much longer I would have laid there, but I wasn't eager to move since I knew that they knew where my camp was, but I didn't know where they were. If you're out here, you should call yourself lucky from now on. Don't ever come back here, boy. Dio.jpg. I lay and watch the flashlight go into the distance. It's pitch black now, so I give it another 20 minutes in case it was some kind of double trap. Nothing but silence. After a while, I hear gunshots a few miles away, across the river where they headed earlier. My tent is slashed apart, my sleeping bag sliced into bits, with the insulation thrown around camp. My tarp has been pulled out of the tree and slashed up, cords cut. Gunshots again, but they are much closer this time. I grab what I can and haul ass uphill. Spend the entire night moving north through the woods until I finally found a service road to follow. Followed it in the tree line just in case and was freaking out the entire night. Never went back to those woods. This took place in the southern remote US. Still don't know what they wanted or how they found me or knew where I was. My guess is trail cams or that they found my camp earlier and came back looking for it as a group to teach me a lesson or worse. I had a buddy Garrett way back years ago. He was a trailer park kid whose family sucked, and he got into hopping trains and doing graffiti and staying with shady characters. Otherwise, he was homeless most of the time, basically. But he told me this story once. Train hopping, hoping to make it to California to meet up with some people. Long way to go. Sleeping out in the grass or sometimes crashing with weirdos at their place. One night he's in the grass. This is in Missouri or some place. Can't remember. Trying to sleep. Suddenly hears loud crashing in some nearby trees, which he had avoided instinctively. Freezes up, staring at the trees. Sounds like a group of men marching. Normally Garrett doesn't give a F about anything, and he's a big effer who likes to fight, but he says he feels complete dread and is afraid to move. He hears someone shout, like a command, but he can't make out the words. There's another sound, like a constant swishing. He's laying on his side and looking straight at where the sounds are coming from. They're approaching. Finally, Garrett gets up the nerve to make a break for it, and sneak off before he's discovered. But there's another shout, much closer this time. Almost sounds like it's right there in front of him. Garrett drops to his stomach and just lays there. Marching sound stops at the tree line, but the swishing sound continues past him. As it does, the air gets thick and Garrett's head swims, passes out, comes to the next day, hops the train, and makes a mental note to avoid that spot from now on. Be me. Retarded, angry high school senior. At some point during the year, I bought a Mercury Sable with 200K plus miles on it, in crap condition for $200. Never register it, insure it. Just park it in a lot until the year is up. Graduation day. Don't show up. Parents are angry because I didn't apply to any colleges. Almost didn't graduate. Just a shithead kid. F it. In a woods time.
grab my guns. At the time, it was my grandpa's Garand and an M&P 15 that I worked the entire previous summer to buy. This was in 2008. Load up on 223, beans, rye crisp, peanut butter, and MREs. Drive across the country. End up somewhere north of Crandon in Wisconsin. Keep in mind, the car at this point still had no registration, plates, or insurance. That was effing terrifying. Set up camp on some lake. I just popped the trunk and set up a tarp between a tree. Sleep in a bag in the back of the car. Have a great time for a few weeks just shooting things. Swimming, building fires, fishing, hiking. Late afternoon, cooking beans and hot sauce on the fire. Everything in the woods goes quiet. The loons that were honking earlier shut the F up. I get a really uneasy feeling. Slowly, I start to hear a low hum. Sounds like a bee swarm, but pitch shifted down a few octaves. Freak the F out. Grab my AR and chamber around. The humming slowly gets louder and louder, but it doesn't sound like it's coming from anywhere specific. It's everywhere around me. Start visually sweeping the woods. Out of the corner of my eye, I spot a black blur moving really quickly between trees. As much as I turn, I can't seem to get a good view of the blur. It's just continuously in my peripheral vision. I'm freaking the F out now, and the hum is getting louder. F it. Just squeeze off as many rounds as I can in the direction of the blur. The humming gets even louder. Now it sounds like it's screeching. My mag's empty, and the ground is littered with casings. I know that I need to get the F out of here. Run to my car, throw my gun in, and try to turn it over. Nothing. Fuck. I disconnected the battery because I didn't want to drain it with the dome lights. Pull the hood latch and run to the front of the car. The humming and screeching has gotten louder now. It's almost unbearable. Throw open the hood and desperately try to reconnect the battery with one hand while holding the hood open with the other. The humming has gotten so loud now that I can't even hear my own thoughts. Suddenly, it's dark. Like dark. Like 1 a.m. dark. The stars are out. The fire is coals. And the infernal humming is gone. But I'm still holding open the hood like an idiot. My arms aren't tired, and my heart is still beating out of my chest like no time passed at all. I've never cleaned up a camp and gotten the out as fast as I did that day. I still go camping a lot, but never in northern Wisconsin. I avoid that place like the plague. Anon, are you implying you time traveled? What the Go back and investigate, motherfucker. Heck, if you want to go take a look, be my guest. Somewhere off the 55 in the Schwambigen National Forest, you will find some I'm not going back. Be me, 24-year-old game warden. Fix fences and pretend to enforce hunting laws. Woohoo, F my life. Best and worst job I ever had. Lots of time in the woods, though. Lots of interaction with park rangers. Lots of interaction with cops. Guess whose phone rings if there is an issue with wildlife, or something the cops don't want to listen to. Sir, I'm gonna have to refer you to Fish and Game. The outfit was like me and 5 other guys. We would take turns working the phones back then. One day, cops ring us up. Hey, Anon, this might sound weird, but one of our sheriffs hit a bear with his car and thinks you should come look at it. WTF you want me to do? Ticket him for killing a bear without tags? You should just get out here. I'm sorry I can't say more. Gives me location. Try to get other game warden bro to go deal with it. F you, Anon. I'm not making a 30-minute drive. This is probably a joke. GD.exe. Warm up the truck. Drive out there. It takes 40 minutes because of F-off blizzard. The cops have part of the highway closed off. Get out of the truck and walk up to a dented interceptor and 4 cops looking uncomfortable as F. They show me what he hit. Not a bear. It's a Sasquatch. The younger ones get hit by cars all the time. Heave it into the bed of my truck and burn it the next day out back of the office. Park rangers have told me anyone that writes up a report about one gets canned. Summer after my first semester of college, spend 2 weeks road tripping alone. From Midwest out towards Washington and back again. Towards the end of the trip, I'm pretty beat, and I pull over at a rest area to sleep. Place doesn't look great, but I'm too tired to give a f***. Still, since I'm the only vehicle out there and I don't know the area, I set an alarm. I'll sleep a couple of hours and then head out to find civilization. 2 hours later, my alarm goes off. I set it to buzz instead of ring, and the first thing I notice is someone standing by the window. I freeze. I can see a gun leaning against the window, too. Whoever it is, they were dressed all in black, is holding the gun up but not pointing it at me. I was sleeping on a thick pillow so I could just see over the dash and notice another person, all in black, also holding a gun, standing in front of my truck but facing towards the rest area. I look and see what appears to be 2 more individuals, all in black, all holding guns, leading a bunch of kids into the woods. I notice the guy at the window turn to look inside, looks right at me. Not sure if he saw me awake, but I shut my eyes just enough so he'd think I was. After a while, I hear the guy walk off. I open my eyes, and him and the other guy in front of my truck are disappearing into the woods. Do a quick scan of the area to make sure I'm alone. Then when I feel it's safe, I take the fuck off. Call the police and tell them what I saw. Never heard back about it. Be park ranger in some national park. Had issues with people who went off trails, mostly drunks and tourists, and said ranger would be forced to go out there and get them. A lot of the time it's pretty bog standard. Drunk idiots tend to be injured with sprung or broken ankles, and the tourists just got lost because they were following wildlife with cameras. One day, this starts changing. The tourists start disappearing off trails, and for some reason, are not being found. Mind you, it's still a national park, so the reality of the situation is someone probably got injured and fell victim to the elements, or predation by local wildlife. And then, they started finding remains. At first, it was pretty standard fare, but some of the bodies started to really bug our ranger friend. Some of them had obvious man-made marks, such as stabbing wounds, gunshots, etc. Every time this would happen, they would be instructed to just file it under the same as the rest. Just another lost tourist or drunk that got injured and died from the elements. Ranger friend is obviously a bit peeved about filing possible murder cases as misadventure and tries to look into it. Other rangers are also a bit peeved, but the old breed rangers, like guys with 10 plus years experience, are adamant that everyone just lets it go. Ranger friend tries to pry information from the older guys, but at first is stonewalled to hell and back. Always a ring around about how it could just be a case of suicide. Ranger friend is not buying this shit. Decides to wait till after work and gets one of the older guys to go drinking. After getting this old guy sufficiently buzzed, the old guy finally loosens his lips. The reality of the situation is mundane, but terrifying nonetheless. Most national parks are prowled by a serial killer or two. These serial killers get gratification from hunting people who stray from the trails. Most of them hunt with knives, spears, and bows, keeping it silent aside from the sudden scream and gasp of air, leaving someone's lungs after a lung shot. If you realize that this sounds a lot like those missing 411 cases, well, congrats, you are correct. The vast majority of missing 411 cases are simply down to serial killers, which hunt people in national parks. So why is the Park Service not telling people about this? Simple. Why would you scare your cash cows away from national parks? No tourists, no money. Simple as can be. Be me. Last summer. Be visiting elderly mother on Isle of Skye. Lives in remote, tiny village on Sleep Peninsula. Driving to town on Main Road to get shopping for her. Nice day. Occasional gusty winds. About 1 p.m. Road is quiet. Only me driving. Hear sudden rush of wind noise on my right side. Sounds exactly like a car overtaking me at high speed. Think nothing of it. Funny gust of wind is all. Get shopping in town. Return to mother's house. Unpacking shopping. Jokingly say, LOL, I got overtaken by a ghost car. Mother freezes. Where, Anon? Did you see it? Were its headlights on? WTF.png. Explain it was just a funny gust of wind that sounded like a car passing me. Mother explains that for decades on Sleet Road, the locals have known about a ghost car. Usually at night, they see headlights coming. Pull over to side of road and passing place to let it by. Single track road until about 15 years ago. Wait ages. Headlights disappear. A couple of people got run off the road by it. Headlights disappear behind them, coming at speed. About to hit them, they swerve onto grass to avoid collision, get stuck on soft mud. No car passes. No headlights. This has been happening there since the 1950s. Drive that road regularly. Never hear gust of wind like that again. Not so sure it wasn't the ghost car now. On a road trip with parents, probably middle school age. Driving through rural Oregon, basically all forest and mountains. No major towns along this route. In the back seat dozing off and not really paying attention to anything. Early evening, but it's still light out. Parents are talking quietly. Suddenly Dad goes, "Do you see that?" Mom says yes. She sounds confused. I wake up at this point and kind of sit forward to see what's going on. Dad, is he wearing a ghillie suit? Mom, no, I don't think so. Still can't see what they're pointing at. As the car gets closer, Dad slows down. We're barely going 25 now. They can't figure out what they're seeing. Then I see it. Someone is walking by the side of the road really slowly. They're taking these weird, almost loping steps. They're covered in some kind of wool or fur or something. Very dark brown, almost black. Realize that whoever it is, they're effing huge. My dad is tall, 6'4", and I knew this thing would be taller by at least 6 inches. We're almost beside it. Mom starts freaking out. Mom, speed up, go around it. Dad is in a trance or something. He can't stop looking at it. We're literally right behind it. Mom is practically crying. Everyone in the car looks out the window as we pull up beside it. It looks back at us. It is not a person. It has no face, just hair. In the middle of where its face should have been are these 2 tiny, beady black eyes. It looked right at me. It was predatory. It lunges at the car. Dad floors it. The thing doesn't chase us. It just goes right back to walking slowly along the road. Mom is crying and hitting my dad's arm and telling him he's an idiot for doing that. Dad is pale and won't even react. Pull off at the first motel we see. Spend the rest of the night not talking much. Definitely the weirdest thing we saw that trip. Living in the suburbs. Late night trip to Waffle House. The highway leading there runs through undeveloped land and curves sharply once you're out of my neighborhood. Coming to the sharp curve, slow down so I don't wreck. I see a woman on a bike crossing the road. She's right in front of me, and I brake sharply. Luckily, I'm going slow enough so I don't lose control of the car. Right as I hit the woman, she dissipates like smoke, and I'm alone on the highway again. Be me, 16 years old, went hunting somewhere in the northeast of Mexico. Went with an uncle and cousin, but they're irrelevant. Plan was to stay there hunting a day and a half and return home. We were hunting together but with no luck. A few rabbits, but not anything bigger in sight. Uncle decides it'll be good to split in order to cover more area, and maybe this way spot something good. Okay, I guess. Went to a thick part of the forest and climbed a tree to have a better view of the area. Fell asleep. Woke up in the middle of the night, freezing. Shit. was about to get down and return to the camp, and then I heard something. Chain rustling sound not too far from where I was, and some voices. Decided to stay on the tree and try to look for the source of the sound. Catched a glimpse of light from what appeared to be a torch, about 100-120 meters away from me. WTF. The forest wasn't a camping area, and that part isn't very known. Climb down real slow and quiet to get closer to the light. As I get closer, I start listening to what can only be some kind of chanting in Spanish. Finally get real close. I was scared shitless, but wanted to see. About 10 to 15 people in a circle. White loose clothing, not robes. No shoes, all carrying machetes and other blunt weapons. Single small torch in the middle of the circle. Then I hear the chain rustling again. On the ground beside the torch there was this young woman, looked about 20, naked, strapped to the ground somehow. Looked bruised and hurt, blood coming from her nose. What shocked me most was how broken she looked. Hopeless, hollow, no signs of life even though she was breathing. What I assumed was an older woman started cleaning her up while others chanted. Chanting was not really loud, so I couldn't hear most of it. Abre la puerta, open the door, came a few times. Rest was unintelligible. Then it hit me like a bucket of cold water. I wasn't supposed to be there. I knew what that looked like, but there was nothing I could do. Started coming back really slow, laying low, trying not to make a single sound. About 50 meters from them, I couldn't stand it. Turned around and aimed my rifle at the general direction of the light from the torch. Shoot. Heard nothing but absolute silence after the shot. This is bad. Started running like hell back to the camp, which was pretty far away. Never turned back, never looked back. Finally arrived to the camp. Uncle asked me where the I was. Tell him everything. We need to leave right now. Cousin asked him why, but he never answered. Just told us to shut the up about it and never tell anyone about this. Okay then. Packed up everything quickly and left.
Okay. Didn't want to have to type it unless it got at least a few replies. Not great at Greentext, but cope old fags. Be my scout leader. Be aged 27-ish. Be trying to find self/religion, etc. Decide to go to Ute tribe. Since hell, the Indians are well known for spirit quests, and he already has a friend from the tribe. It should be said that this is set sometime in the late 70s. Be avid outdoorsman/in-a-woods kind of guy, so also brings along his 1903 Springfield and .30-06, and some .38 revolver. Keeps 1903 Springfield in truck, but gotta keep that thing on you so stows .38 revolver in pants. Meets up with local tribe, and gets introduced through friend. Gets to know a couple of the head tribesmen and medicine men who conduct the rituals and help with spirit quests. After a while, asked to join them for a sweat lodge/peyote session. Since he's gotten in cool with them, they agree. Have to drive and follow the tribe to some religious/sacred ground where they have set up a sweat lodge area. As stated before, keep rifle in car, but brings along revolver. As per custom, removes shirt and shoes, but keeps on pants. They begin the ritual and everything is going okay. The head tribesman there begins chanting and telling native stories and legends of the tribe. Scout leader starts hallucinating to the stories, but is staying semi-coherent. After a while, a howl breaks the air, and the head tribesman grows quiet. The men listen in and hear large steps approaching the tent. Soon vicious snarling and growling can be heard. The head tribesman starts praying loudly in native and starts encouraging the other to do the same. Another howl is heard, this time behind my scout leader. Quickly produces the .38 and snaps around to shoot the creature. A howl of pain is heard before a large paw slashes open the tent. Shortly after, movement can be heard of the creature running away from the tent. Scout leader sees a large, patchy-haired creature with a small bloody gash in its side from the bullet. Now the head tribesman is urging everyone to move towards the vehicles they came in.
My scoutmaster rushes to his truck and retrieves the rifle. Turns quickly to see the rest of the tribes also producing firearms from their cars. They all start running after the dogman creature, popping off random shots towards it. The dogman now rushing towards a wooded creek bed. My scoutmaster tries to place at least one good shot in. He steadies himself and levels the rifle center mass at the dogman as he pulls the trigger as calm as he can. They all hear another howl of pain as it just makes it into the woods. The group decide to keep booking it towards the creature and eventually make it to the wooded creek bed. Upon reaching the creek bed, they all notice: 1, they can no longer hear its loud footsteps. 2, the tracks end as soon as it hits the creek. And 3, it's almost impossible to see. After reevaluating possibly getting eaten, they decide to stay grouped up, guns at the ready, and slowly start moving up and down the creek looking for tracks on either side, and can't find any. Quickly all realize it couldn't have made it any farther down the creek without them being able to see it once they got to the creek. They all decide to quit the search and head back to their vehicles. Shortly after, the tribe didn't allow anyone near this part of the reservation. TFW, my scoutmaster shot this thing with 30-06, and it didn't go down. The head tribesman also stated that it couldn't have been a hallucination, as everyone saw it, and peyote isn't powerful enough.